Arsenal hit record worst form, Szoboszlai close to Leipzig deal, Favre sacked by Dortmund, a transfer roundup, and today's Emoji Mondays will coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and yet again, we are on a Monday morning discussing how Arsenal have lost the night before. It is yet another defeat for Mikel Arteta's side. And in fact, this is their worst start to the season for 50 odd years. And they haven't lost to Burnley at home since the mid-70s. After 12 games, things are not looking very good for the side. And honestly, Arsenal fans, where do you go from here? We spoke about this last Monday. In fact, I made a video which you can check out right here discussing which Arsenal moves should be made in the January transfer window. There's talk about the manager, Ozil, players in, players out. But for the love of God, what on earth do they do to turn things around? I mean, is the Europa League even an attainable achievement for the rest of this season? Or is it just about surviving relegation? Now, personally, I think Arsenal are far too good to go down. Yes, they are in the middle of an absolute crisis and have lost the last 4 home league games in a row, but I don't think that they are going to be one of the teams to go down. There's definitely 3 teams worse than them. My one gripe though, if I were an Arsenal fan and if I were to be watching these poor performances week in, week out, and by the way, it doesn't get any easier with games against Southampton, Everton and Chelsea, I would be annoyed at the leadership in the team. Aubameyang is the least inspiring captain I've ever seen, and that's without talking about him heading into his own net and finally scoring a goal from open play at the Emirates, although of course it was the winner for Burnley. Beyond him, you've got the former captain, Granit Xhaka, who just cannot keep his cool. That's another red card. In fact, this year, Arteta's side have 6 red cards, twice more than any other team in the Premier League. He doesn't exactly seem like the aggressive, ill-disciplined guy, so why is it transferring over to his team? Xhaka's not good enough mentally or as a footballer to fit into the team, but this is mainly the side that won the FA Cup less than 5 months ago. City in the semi-final, Chelsea in the final. Arteta ball was looking brilliant. They took home another trophy, something that other managers spend their whole career working towards. Yet within the first year, Arteta's already brought home the FA Cup. How has this team changed so drastically? I mean, since then, in terms of the new players, Thomas Partey, who's definitely an upgrade on what they've got, and Gabriel in defence, who's definitely an upgrade in the defenders they've got. They've got 2 players in their team who are better than their FA Cup final side, yet they find themselves languishing towards the bottom of the table. It's just not good enough from an Arsenal point of view, and Arsenal fans, we want to know your thoughts down below. Moving on though, and to Dominik Szoboszlai, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that right, the Hungarian midfielder at RB Salzburg, who is close to sealing a deal to Leipzig. Now, of course, there have been so many teams rumoured in signing the talented midfielder, but it was always going to be likely that Salzburg's sister club, Leipzig, had first dibs on him. 25 million euros is his release clause, and even though they're going to have to pay that and not really have any discussions with the club about lowering the fee, that is still an absolute steal. 25 million euros for a midfielder who's been utterly brilliant, not only in the league, and you could say, yes, Salzburg dominate the Austrian Bundesliga, so maybe he's got to show it at a bigger level. He's been good in the Champions League too, and good on the international stage, scoring a last-minute goal and helping Hungary through to qualification to next summer's European Championships. Honestly, there's no wonder why the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, loads of big clubs in Europe are after his signature, and at Leipzig, I think he's going to fit in really well. It does put a question mark over the future of the other attacking midfielders at Leipzig, especially Emil Forsberg and Marcel Sabitzer, but in all honesty, when a player like that, at that price, comes available, you'd be foolish not to go ahead and buy him when given the opportunity. Moving on though, and from one Bundesliga club to another, and to Dortmund, who have sacked Lucien Favre. All things came to an absolute abysmal end with a 5-1 home defeat to Stuttgart, and that's just not something you associate with Dortmund. I don't want to say this has all gone wrong since Haaland was injured, but since Haaland's been injured, it's pretty much all gone wrong. It just shows what a phenomenal player he is, and when you've got all the goal-scoring talents in the world, he's pretty much going to help you win most games, and without him, they just don't look as competent. Of course, it's not just all about Haaland. There are other areas of the team which either haven't been improved or are just not working as well. But even so, they have such a talented squad. And yes, whilst you assume that Bayern Munich are going to run away with the division as in most seasons, even though they aren't top at the moment, you'd still think that Dortmund would be there or thereabouts. But they're now 6 points off leaders by Leverkusen. Unfortunately, the time has come for Favre to pack his things and leave. So, Who's going to be the next man in the job? Well, the assistant manager is in charge until the end of the season, where apparently Gladbach manager Marco Rose, who's been doing a fantastic job at the club, does have a release clause in his contract and could be the new manager. My first thought was someone like Pochettino, but having said that, it looks like he'll probably hold out for a bigger job. No offense to Dortmund, but he's already done a project job of being second fiddle in a title race like he did at Tottenham, so why would he then go to Dortmund? He's probably holding out for someone like PSG, Man United, Real Madrid potentially, although Zidane looks to have turned things around again. So yeah, along with Marco Rose, there are a few other names in there, but it looks like he will be the man to succeed Favre. Next up then, a quick roundup of the rest of the news that you might have missed from the weekend. And Atalanta forward Papu Gomez is apparently close to leaving the club in January due to a disagreement with his manager. PSG have joined Barcelona in showing their interest in Lyon forward Memphis Depay. Juventus midfielder Sami Khedira, who's out of the Serie A squad, has admitted that he's held talks with Carlo Ancelotti about a move to Goodison Park. And lastly but not least, Columbus Crew won their second MLS Cup title with an emphatic 3-0 victory over Seattle Sounders. So next up then, into a quick roundup of your Friday feels, where not so many of you actually got predictions right over the weekend's football. But if you did, congratulations. And if I don't call you out, I'm sorry, I can't call everybody out. But JNXB did guess that Dortmund would not win over the weekend and open up a 3-game without a win streak. That certainly happened in that humiliating 5-1 home defeat. Next up, and Rian Rafsa guessed a 2-0 victory for Real Madrid in the derby against Atletico. Casemiro getting on the score sheet again there. And lastly but not least, Cameron guessed a draw in the Manchester derby. And we haven't spoken about that too much. And if you're wondering why, it's because it was terrible. It was so boring. Honestly, the Manchester derby is usually one I look forward to. Both sides have got some good players. Certainly, you'd expect Manchester City to go full throttle and beat their neighbours. But my word, that was a poor draw if I've ever seen one. And lastly but not least, we come to this week's Emoji Mondays. This is where we at OneFootball throw some emojis down on some of the weekend's hottest action. And the best player from the weekend, there's two best players. First up, Leon Bailey. 2 brilliant goals as Leverkusen won 4-1 and took their place atop of the Bundesliga. And also James Maddison, who saw himself grab 2 brilliant goals for Leicester as they beat Brighton 3-0 and put themselves in an outside position in the title race, let's say. Moving on then, and worst player, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I could have gone for Xhaka because that was a stupid thing to do. Absolutely ridiculous, but I just think Aubameyang as the captain needs to do so much better, and to end your goal drought with an own goal, that's just horrendous. And finally, the best result of the weekend, there was quite a few we could give it to, but I'm actually going to go for Roma, who beat Bologna 5-1 away from home and were 5-1 up at half-time. Insanity. Finally then, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Check out everything else you got going on OneFootball, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.